Hello, who've been before, welcome back. If not, hi, my name is David. I make videos talking about media that I want to talk about. This is my edition of a very late mid-year freakout, which was a book tag that you do at the middle of the year to recap everything you've read so far in the first half of the year. I did this book tag last year. I was like, oh, that's really cool. I think I'm gonna do this so that the video comes out specifically the middle of the year, the very day that is the middle of the year. Don't remember what day it was, but I did it and I had a lot of fun with it. And I was like, awesome, I did that, and I completely forgot about it this year. So this one's very late. I'm so sorry about that. I did want to shout out everybody I've seen of their book tag, and like remind me to do this. So we got Edie Lewis over at Nocturnal Reviews. We got Jen over at Horror Literati. Emily Ann Reeds, Steph over at Coffee Over Apples, and Marianne Guevara. All of them, I watched their tag video, and I was like, okay. I don't remember who I saw first. I think it was Jen's, and I was like, oh, right, I forgot to do that. I'm a bit busy right now, so I think I'm gonna hold off on that. And I saw another one. I saw ED's, and I was like, oh. And I saw another one. I saw Emily Ann's, and I'm like, oh no. And then Steph and Marianne put out their own. I'm like, you know what? Fine. I should do this because a lot of people that I respect and enjoy watching on YouTube are doing this. So I'm going to do this. Thank you so much for reminding me to do this mid-year freakout book tag for 2026. Before I do the tag itself, I did want to, I'm on Twitter, X. On X, I post about the books that I read. I'm on book Twitter, yeah. And there is a template that's going around on Twitter that is the favorite books by a month. And so this is my picks for that. And so I wanted to briefly touch on those each month, which is his favorite book of that month. This, tag is about looking back at the first half of the year. First 2-3 months, I was pretty worried because I was not finding any good, amazing books. So my favorite book for January was What Stalks the Deep, which was the last book in the Sworn Soldier series by T. Kingfisher. I enjoyed this. It was not as amazing. I think I gave it a 4.5. It's not a 5-star, but it was the best book in that month in January at the beginning of the year. And so I liked it enough, but I was a little disappointed because, I don't know, it felt like it was missing something, but it was still pretty good. So that's the favorite of that month. For February, it was A Master of Jinn by P.J. Lee Clark. I absolutely adored this book up until like the last 100 or the 100 pages or like the last act. Not that it was bad, but it brought it down a bit more because I did not quite enjoy the direction it took. But that was my favorite for February, at least. March is when things start getting a little bit better because I am starting to, this year was mostly reading a series and finishing series. And so the best book in March was The Dark Forest by Cixin Liu, the second book in the Remembrance of Earth's Past trilogy that starts with The Three-Body Problem. I watched the show on Netflix and it's really, really good. This book is so much better though, and I absolutely adored this book, the second book in the series. And surprisingly, not surprisingly, in April, the best book that I read that month was the third book in the Remembrance of Earth's Past trilogy, Death's End by Cixin Liu. Also amazing. And so like when I read this was like the second 5-star book that I had read, or the third or something, and I was like, oh god, this year's starting to be a little rocky with the books that I'm reading. But at least this series has continued to be amazing. Yeah, Death's End was my second 5-star, because then I started getting into another series as well. In May, my favorite book was The Monster by Cormorant, the second book in the Masquerade series, which starts with The Traitor by Cormorant. And this was absolutely amazing, and I am so excited. I believe I'm going to be reading the third book sometime very soon. I don't know where it is. It's over there. And then in June, I had planned to read it in June, and I was very happy that I planned it to read in June because it is The Dead of Summer by Ryan LaSala. I absolutely adored this book, and I was so happy that I had bought it. This is the last of the Ryan LaSala horror books that I have yet to read. I don't think I'm going to read his fantasy, YA fantasy, but his YA horror has been amazing. And so I was able to read it in the dead of summer. Oh, I didn't know it was reflective. So on to the actual book tag itself. The first prompt is the best book that you've read so far, and it has to be Death's End by Cixin Liu. It's not going to be repeated. This is the last time I'm going to talk about this book, but I really enjoyed how this book tied everything up at the end, where the three-body problem takes place within like 2 to 3 years, I want to say, and then Dark Forest jumps a long time as well, but Death's End spans vast amounts of time. Some of the most amazing sci-fi concepts in the entire series is in the entire series, but also in the entire series as well appears in here. The way that Earth is changed culturally and socially because of the unification that comes from impending alien invasion, and then the moments of peace as well between humans and aliens, and then the things that happen after the fact as well. Really good. And some of the better characters in this series, the series still doesn't have that many good characters, well-written characters, but it still manages to have a really good character in Shang Xin. So this was the best book so far that I've read this year. I keep thinking about this book so much. Best sequel you've read so far could also go to a book from Remembrance of Earth's Past. However, I do want to mention The Monster Bar Cormorant as an amazing sequel for the Trader Bar Cormorant, because the Trader Bar Cormorant stays on one singular country, and that is where Bar Cormorant wants to be a trader at. And now we expand into an ocean. This is a seafaring novel, as Baru and her allies that are also enemies at the same time join together and pop around to different areas in the central location of the sea, the Ashen Sea. That's it. And the way that this expands on the world as well. We've heard so many things about the sequels should expand on the world. This does that in amazing ways. And the way that it ends, it's so juicy. And I can't wait to start the third book. Prompt 3, a new release you have yet to read, but want to. Very recently, the third book in the Dark Gods trilogy by Tara Sim came out, called The Dawn Throne. This came out early June, I would say. Early June. And this series it's a trilogy of a fantasy series that I've been reading for some time. I read the first 2 books. The City of Dusk. Can you see it? Okay. City of Dusk I read maybe 3 years ago, and then Midnight Kingdom less than 2 years ago. And so I'm a little trepidatious in terms of reading The Dark Throne, because I'm like, am I going to remember much of this? But I do still want to get to it eventually. I think I'm going to read it next month, because that's when I have some time to read it. And I'm trying to read it quickly so that I don't lose more of the information from the first 2 books. But this series is about 4 different families whose are descendants of gods, and the descendants have power between the children. We have power of the light, power of the shadows, power of death, and power of life. Power of life is literally just elemental power. But and they have to deal with their world has been cut off from the gods, and now they're trying to reopen their world to the god realm. But the gods are evil. The gods, no, they're not evil. They're very human, flawed, and bad, and want to do bad stuff. And so they're dealing with that. And so I really have enjoyed this series so much, and the cast of characters is so amazing, well written as well, that I am so ready to read this book. Prompt 4, most anticipated read for the second half of the year. There's so many good books that are coming out. There's so many people on BookTube that talk about books that are coming out, and there's so many interesting books. But one book that most people aren't going to be talking about, that I will be talking about, is From the Library of Jürgen Leitner by Primi Mohammed and Jonathan Sims, which is a in-universe canon story of Jürgen Leitner's library, before it gets destroyed in the Magnus Archive, which is my favorite horror podcast. I make videos talking about those. If you watch my booktube videos, I don't expect you to watch my Magnus Archives content, but I make Magnus Archives content for the Magnus Archive fans. And if that makes you want to listen to the Magnus Archives, please do, because I absolutely adore the Magnus Archives and Magnus Protocol. Anyways, From the Library of Jürgen Leitner is coming out in October 29th or 27th. Specifically, it's not on my birthday, which is the 28th, but it's the day before or after. I don't remember which one it was, but it's coming during that. I've already pre-ordered. I believe it's 27, and so I'm super excited to get that, and I will be devouring it. Prompt 5, biggest disappointment. I had an option, but I keep thinking about it, and it's like, okay, there's books that you have expectations for and they let you down, but then there's books that you're really excited for and they let you down, and then there's books that you were not expecting it to be good and then it was not good. So like that last one, the third option, I wouldn't say that's a big disappointment because you were not expecting to like it, right? And like I had to say The Night Ends with Fire by KX Song, which was a book that I had to read for a book club. I really like the cover and I really like the concept. It's a retelling of Mulan in a fantasy kingdom, and she has powers with a god. However, the way that it was executed was not my favorite, but I keep thinking about it. I was like, am I just excited because of the interesting cover and interesting premise? Not really. I wanted to read it because of the book club, and in the book club, mostly I was disappointed that I wasn't able to voice my opinions about it because this specific book club was rescheduled and I could not go to it. However, another big disappointment is Canon by Paige Lewis, in that I saw how really cool this cover looked and was expecting, I don't know what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting anything because the synopsis is really weird and different, and so I wasn't really expecting anything, but I was like really excited. But then when I was reading, I was like, it's a surrealist commentary on Christianity, and I'm not a huge fan of surrealist work, especially in literary form, and it's a little bit comedic as well, and there are some things here and there in the book that I was just bored at or annoyed at most, and there are other things in the story as well that I was like, this is kind of fun, but I want more of this one thing that I like, and there's not that much of it. So this might also be one of the biggest disappointments of the year. And then maybe I could also say A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid, because I had read Lady Macbeth. It's somewhere behind me. I've read Lady Macbeth and I liked it. I'm not going to pull it out. I was like, okay, I've heard a lot of good things about Ava Reid. Let me read her like main series, quote unquote, because I've heard it's the main series. And A Study in Drowning, I just did not like at all. But I don't know if I was expecting to like it because it did not read like the type of books that I like. So I don't know if I would say it's my biggest disappointment. But those three that I just mentioned are probably the lowest rate things I've read so far. Thankfully, nothing has gone lower than like A, because I think I gave Study in Drowning 2.5. Nothing lower than that, thankfully. Prompt 6, biggest surprise this half year. I'm not, also again, like, how do I characterize this? Did I not expect to like this book and actually really enjoyed it? Did I not think about anything about this book, but then like really had a lot of fun with it? But for me, I said The Henna Artist by Alka Joshi. I found this book resale at a used bookstore, and I got it because I recognized the name Alka Joshi, because Alka Joshi was the author of one of my favorite books of last year, 6 Days in Bombay. And I recognized the names. I was like, yeah, let me buy it. And this book surprised me with how amazing it is and how sublime it is, because it's about the henna artist, Lakshmi, who ran away from her abusive husband and moved to Jaipur in the 1950s. I think it'd be 1960s now. And she is a henna artist and uses her talents as a henna artist and as a, it's not like she's a doctor. She uses home remedies, like an apothecary. What's the term for apothecarist? She has home remedies that works really well, and so she uses a combination of that and her henna artistry to gain favor with more upper class people and get money as well. At the same time, that all of a sudden a sister that she did not know that she had comes to live with her, and that disrupts her world. And I was really surprised of how it moved, because it's this woman who is trying to live on her own, pushing and striving for a better life for herself. I kept reading this and I kept remembering the quote from X and Pearl: "I do not accept a life I do not deserve." Love that. And this is what this book is about. I have the sequel ready to be read at some point. Up there. Prompt 7, favorite new author, debut or new to you? So, if you've been keeping up with me, you know that I had a goal to read The Expanse, the entire series, this year. It's 9 books, 1 book every month was the plan. And so I started that. When did I start this? Time is weird. June just ended and I just read the 3rd book. So going backwards, I started it in April, maybe? I don't know. I don't remember. Anyways, and I told myself I'm going to read probably the first or second book and see if I like it. And I did. And I am so ready to keep reading the series because it has been absolutely amazing. And James S.A. Corey, who is a pen name for 2 authors who are called Daniel Abraham and Ty Frank, who are George R. R. Martin's assistants. Oh, okay. I just learned that. Anyways, they do an amazing job with these books. And none of them so far, I've read 3 of them so far, have been 5 out of 5s. But they've been close. I think so far my least favorite was the 3rd one, the most recent one that I read. But still, I think I gave it a 4.25. But Leviathan Wakes and Caliban's War, I gave a 4.5. And it's like, these first 2 books, at least the second book, could have easily been a 5-star. However, because of how well written they are and how amazing the book is, I do have to be a little bit more strict with how I'm critiquing these books, because they could all easily be almost a 5-star or just something close to that. But I had to be a little bit more nitpicky and be a bit more specific. Like, these things were really, really good, but they were contrasted by some things that I wish could be better. Nothing has been bad at all. It's just I feel like it could have been better, and I can feel it reaching for greatness, and it getting really, really close. And so I'm really excited to keep reading the series. I got the 4th one lined up sometime this month. Or July. I'm putting this out in July. So, prompt 8, newest fictional crush. I gave to Warren, Warren from the Hexologists. Warren Wilby is, I'm covering him? No. Well, I'm going to cover Isolde so that we focus on Warren, because he is a big, strong man, but also himbo, but he's really smart. He's really kind. He's a provider. He cooks. He's really funny. He's hot. Yeah. I would not say that the Hexologists are a disappointment. I liked the first book more than I liked the second book, but I think I had issues with the second book personally over like what the actual book was going to do. But Warren, throughout these 2 books, stays being amazing. He doesn't go through that much change. Neither does Isolde, or Isolde has a little bit of change. But Warren has not as much change that I can remember, but he has to be a static character in contrast to Isolde to complement her. But you can also see how he fits into the story, and what he does in story is very important. And so I'm really happy with Isolde and Warren. And Warren is super, super hot, sexy. Prompt number 9, newest favorite character. I'm going to say 2 of them. First, I'm going to say Rin from the Poppy War series by R.F. Kuang. I just finished reading this trilogy. Amazing trilogy, really good. Rin is one of the best characters I've ever read. R.F. Kuang has such a good, amazing grasp on who Rin is, what she wants, and what she wants to do. And the struggles that she goes through, like, I was in a Discord where we talked about this book because it was being read as a read along with other booktubers. And so I was along for the ride. And a lot of people, we just kept saying, Rin just can't catch a break. And that really endears you to her because she has a lot of successes, but a lot of failures. Some stories get in the pitfall of this character has only successes or only failures, and that's not a maker of a good hero. Rin is an amazing hero here. I mean, even I wouldn't say she's a hero. She's her own person. She's like an antagonist to other people's protagonist. But as the protagonist of this trilogy, she is absolutely amazing, and I loved watching her grow and change and come into her own in this book, and then become uber powerful in the next two books, while dealing with the mess of fantasy politics that is the Poppy War series. The other person, the other crush I was going to say is Holden from Leviathan Wakes from the Expanse. Holden is such a paragon, and you can tell exactly who he is. Again, like James S. A. Corey has such a grasp on who Holden is and what he wants and how he's going to grow and change. The way that he grows in the second book, where he becomes more like Miller in the second book. In the third book, he becomes a little bit more selfish. But because of all the trauma that has been happening to him, all the issues with the protomolecule has been doing to him, and so I can really appreciate him as a character. Also, recently I found a companion, I guess, graphic novel. It's not even a novel. Comic book for The Expanse, like a prequel for the characters of Holden's crew, and like, hello, Holden, hi. He's such a cutie. Anyways, I have not seen the show. I don't think I will watch the show until I get like a pretty good amount way through with the series. But yeah, I really like Holden. Holden and Rin are my favorite characters. Wait, he's my favorite character. I was putting him in my crushes as well. He is my crush. He is a good crush, I guess. Yeah, I just got lost in the prompts, and I was like, favorite character, but also crush character. Whatever. Prompt 10, a book that made you cry. I'm going to say The Dark Forest by Cixin Liu. Not that this book is a very sad book. There are some like devastating moments that happen in this book. However, the ending made me cry. And I think the Death's End also made me cry. I don't fully remember, but this ending definitely made me cry with how emotional and impactful it was. Not that it was sad, it was just really powerful. And I get really emotional when really good books are when I consume really good stories. And like I get teary whenever something like comes together in such an amazing way. And this book did that. And one of the few times that I've cried at a book. I'm not very attuned with my emotions when I'm reading. And so to have a book make me cry like this, really powerful. Prompt 11, a book that made you happy. Again, I'm not that attuned with my emotions, but one book that I remember and really enjoying, mostly because I got happy with how I figured things out, and I was like, oh, this is really cool that they're doing this and stuff like that, is August of the People by B.F. Aubrey, which is the book one of the Eternity Sunrise Saga. And I read this book early in the year, and I should have read the second book as soon as it came out, but it just got ahead of me. But this is a indie published sci-fi about a dystopia. Well, that's not dystopia. Post-apocalyptic future on Earth where Cro-Magnon, I believe, is the term. Animals have come back to life, and we're now in this hunter-gatherer type of society once more. De-extinct Ice Age megafauna is what happens here. One thing that I wanted from this book is, honestly, I wanted more megafauna being part of the story, but it became more of a political conflict between the dystopia city and the hunter-gathering clans. However, finding out that this is dealing with Neanderthals, and not only are Ice Age megafauna have come back, but Neanderthals have also been brought back to life. And bringing those pieces together once more, I was like, that is really cool. And so this is exploring the differences and similarities between human beings, Homo erectus, that's it, right? Homo sapien, we're Homo sapiens, and then Homo neanderthalis, right? I have a biology degree. I should know this. Anyways, I was really happy with this book and what it was doing there. And so I'm really excited. Also, August as a character, really good. I had a lot of fun that it not only stuck with him, but it also went to different points of view. And a lot of really fun characters had really interesting moments. I had a lot of fun with this book. Prompt 12, most beautiful book. I don't know what I would constitute as beautiful because I do think that a lot of book covers are really, really good, but beautiful, I don't know. Also, beauty subjective. For me, a book cover that I had to get because of how good it was, I could say Paige Lewis, canon. However, the number one that I always think about this year is This Story Might Save Your Life by Tiffany Crum, which was a book of the month as well. And it is really beautiful. I wish it reflected a bit more. I think there's some copies that I've seen in person that in other bookstores, I mean, that do have a little bit of reflectiveness, but just the texture, visual texture, the lights and the colors is really good. And it's like, I guess this cover sets me up for a different type of tone, but I don't it's not the best of books, but I just really enjoy this cover and how it looks. Because I don't feel like there's like a focal point here, but it's just rich with detail and really beautiful. Let me see if they talk about who made the art. Maybe it is designed by Donna Sinisgali Noetzel. Mayhaps that's what it's credited here as designed. I believe maybe the cover is designed by Donna Sinisgali Noetzel. Shout out to them if they are the person who made this cover because it's absolutely beautiful. More than makes up for the book being kind of meh. And prompt 13, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? So I'm going to move you over here to my TBR shelf. These are all the books that I wouldn't say I want to finish them within the year, but these are just books I need to read. I also have a TBR, like books that I have yet to read down in this direction, but they're not on my TBR shelf yet because I have to empty this out before I add those over here. Let me just we'll get to you, but I have to finish these first. So such ones, some I pointed out, these are set aside because I know that I'm going to be reading them at a specific time. I'm going to read Dawn Throne at some point I think in August. I believe I forget who, there's a YouTuber, a booktuber who's going to read Changing All Stars in a month. I have to look into that. I set aside, I need to check that again. Victorian Psycho by Virginia Fato is going to be a major motion picture starring Micah Monroe. Can you focus on this? You can't focus, whatever. So I bought it just so I can watch the movie when it comes out. And then The Red Winter by Cameron Sullivan. Heard many good things about this book. I will read it when I finish reading all the series I need to read that is not The Expanse. So like as a prize for myself, after I finish I've already finished the Poppy War trilogy, I'm about to finish the Masquerade, and then I have to finish Dawn Throne, and then I'll be able to reward myself by reading The Red Winter because this is a 5-star prediction, 100%. Other shoutouts, I want to read Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. That's one that I've heard a lot of good things about. Spread Me by Sarah Gailey, also really good. So far, I've heard a really good horror novella. There's some gaps in here because I've pulled some books out that I'm going to be reading for July that I have yet to film a TBR for. So that's away. Lucky Seed by Justinian Huang sounds really fun. And I was frustratingly happy with Justinian Huang's other book, The Emperor and the Endless Palace. It's over there that I'm reading the title. So I got this another book, My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. I'm giving him another try, so I want to read this so I can say, like, for sure I'm giving him another try. As I mentioned, the sequel to Hannah Artist, The Secret Keeper of Jaipur by Alka Joshi, second book. We Used to Live Here, Marcus Kluwer. Kluwer? Yes. We Used to Live Here, a famous horror novel that a lot of people have said so many good things about. And yeah, I'll say, because I talked about Poppy War, Anabasis by R.F. Kuang as well. I got this nice Target feature that I have to read as well, that I want to read. All of these I want to read pretty soon. So yeah, it's not going to be in the same framing as before, but that's fine. Anyways, that is my mid-year freak out book tag for 2026. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you again for everyone who has made their own. That reminded me to make my own version of this tag. I'm not going to tag anyone because I feel like this tag is so ubiquitous that a lot of people will just have seen it. And also, of everyone that I've seen do this tag, no one knows who originated this tag. So if you know who originated this tag, please let me know, unless I missed it in any of their videos. But this is such a ubiquitous tag that I'm not going to tag anyone specific. However, if you do this tag because of me, please let me know so I can watch your video and we can talk about the half year of books that you've read so far. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, share with your friends. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to be passionate, and I'll see you later.